Magandang araw, Podmates! Magpapasko na! Panahon na ng reunion, Podmates, mga salo-salo at katakot-takot na kainan. Our guest today is a Kapampangan foodie savant na naging guide at sidekick ni Anthony Bourdain sa Pilipinas. None other than Claude Tayag. Magandang araw sa iyo, Claude.
Magandang araw din. Hello. Mga
Claude,
podcast.
you started out as a painter, a visual artist, and furniture designer, no?
Yeah.
Actually, that's how I first got to know you and your name, no? Nakakita ako ng exhibit long ago, maybe more than 20 years ago, no?
30,
I didn't even know you cooked, no? Or
Yeah.
maybe even longer ago. Pero kaya ang unang branding mo, no? I know, yung restaurateur Larry Cruz was one of those who kind of introduced you to the public. Ang branding mo na ginamit niya ay the artist who cooks, no?
Exactly, yes.
But ever since then you've been just as well known for your cooking, no? Ngayon ba ay ikaw na ang the chef who does art? You've become better known now as a restaurateur, as a chef, as a food writer, and you've converted your home into kind of a semi-private restaurant, no? Yung the well-known
Private dining.
Ballet Dutong, no?
Ballet Dutong, yeah.
Oh. So, but or there's no real problem with billing there, kasi you could also consider cooking as an art, as in culinary arts.
They call it culinary arts in the first place. Okay, let's put it this way. I'm first and foremost an artist. You know how artists are, they're free to do anything, right? And that includes the cooking. Right? I've been always known in my circle and my family as the person who cooks. Like I'm the ninth of 12 children. That's why I'm called Cloud9, not Claude. So I'm just spell it. My nickname is Cloud. My real name is Claudio. So short for it is Cloud. But since I was the ninth of 12, they call me Cloud9. So the thing was, like, can you imagine the amount of cooking our mother did when we were small? It's like constantly. I mean, the kitchen and the dining room was literally the center of our home, of our universe, and we were made to help out. And if you wanted something, you were like told, like, you do it yourself. So we were given like the freedom and also the self-reliance. We were trained to be self-reliant in the kitchen. And for me, that is the most important lesson in life that our mother gave. Like, if you can feed yourself, you can survive anywhere else in the world. Like,
yeah, I want to ask you though, because you said you were known in the family as the one who cooks. There were 12 of you, and you were the ninth. So why is that? Sabi mo, you all helped in preparing, but
exactly,
you were the one who was known for cooking.
Yes,
so ibig mo sabihin, ikaw ang pinakamasipag, or ikaw ang pinaka-focused doon, ikaw pinakamahusay, or what?
Pinaka-adventurous siguro. I mean, everybody cooks in my family. As a matter of fact, we are 8 boys and 4 girls. I can truly claim that all my brothers, they're the house husbands in their respective families. Talagang mahilig kami mamamalengke, wag lang maglaba, kami mamamalengke, magluluto, ganon. And then of course you train a staff in the end. But the thing is, yun ang ko namin, every outing that we go on our respective barkadas, we are always assigned to do the marketing and the kitchen work. So that's how we were trained. And then ako lang siguro yung, I went out of my comfort zone to cook publicly. The first time nga, it was I was invited by Larry Cruz to be a guest cook at that time, and wala pa yung mga chef noon. Ang mga chef at that time, 1989,
mga foreigner pa siguro, no?
It was reserved to foreigners. That's title chef. You know, these 5-star hotels. They bring in their own key people, right? Mga foreigners, like Swiss trained, whatever, wherever, French, ganon, no? The nationalities. And then the rest of the kitchen staff will be Filipinos, mga sous chef, meaning kitchen helpers. Okay, so the thing was, in-invite ako ni Larry to cook, and he built it sa Anghang restaurant sa may Amorsolo Street in Makati. And he built it as art walks. Okay? So,
walks as in W-O-K-S,
yes,
no? Hindi yung lakad. Okay.
Yes, yung lakad, hindi yung lakad, parang walkid yan, parang gano'n, kawali, literally.
Yes.
So, the thing was, the theme of my cooking stint was like, I interpreted my paintings into edible art.
Okay.
So, in a way, it was an extension of my canvas, my palette, from the painting, like especially the Moriones na maraming may headgear na colorful
Oo.
and all that. So I interpreted it into like, like salads or colorful thing and all that, using a lot of, these gadgets that produces, I mean, that cuts, let's say a piece of carrot into a spiral thing. Maybe
I'm trying to visualize this cloud, no? So hindi naman to literal na interpretation, na it has to be figures in a dish, no? You're just trying to replicate the colors or the feel, the vibe of in the painting,
in
or
a way,
so may gimmick ka agad, no? Nung una kang lumabas as a cook, no?
yes,
The artist who cooks, no? So yung
yes.
paintings mo na interpret, has that been repeated, yung ganyang concept? Have you done that again?
Not really. But after that 1989 thing, the next one, I was invited by then GM of Manila Hotel, si Miguel Cerqueda, to cook for the Chien de Rotisserie for one night. There, I sent already to. Oh, okay. So that's the thing. It's like from guesting from one hotel to another. But the thing was like I was focusing on Kapampangan Filipino.
Yes.
Okay? So that's how I was known. I mean, people would come here and invite me and to do this because I was doing Filipino.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, Claude, no, let's bring this down to earth kasi hindi naman lahat makakapunta sa 5-star hotel, no? But all Filipinos have experiences with lechon as it's and
yes.
let's talk about that because it's the universal holiday treat in many parts of the Philippines. Lechon madalas ang bida sa mga pista and mga malalaking kainan, no? And I saw you recently in Silay, no, in Negros sa Adobo Festival doon nila Rina Gamboa and then yung slow food movement doon, no? And there you demonstrated at a private dinner, no, how to eat a lechon, and you were critical about how it is usually served, no? So
yes, I'm very
okay, anong masasabi mo rito? How do we get the best lechon experience?
Okay, the best lechon experience if you have the lechon for yourself. I mean, okay, many of us, like especially in Metro Manila, when we attend a party, we always like, I mean, if the lechon would be the centerpiece, they ordered from their suke. Okay, granting that whoever it was,
may suke,
it is, they will deliver on the appointed time. But little do they know that maybe that lechon has been sitting around for like the past 5-6 hours. By the time it gets to you, it's already cold. Not counting the that the dust it has accumulated if it is displayed by the roadside in La Loma. What I'm saying is, and then when they serve the lechon, they chop it up, they put it on a chafing dish. So, and most likely the party's in an air-conditioned room. It's sebo, and then you don't know what part you're eating. That's why in Metro Manila, they love the liver sauce, of course, no, as Pampangos and Tagalogs, we love the liver sauce precisely for that, to cover the blandness of that cold piece of meat.
Para magkaroon ng lasa yung lechon, which shouldn't be the case, no?
Yes, unlike the one in Cebu, no, which I find naman on the contrary too salty. So anyway, that's why sa kanila, they don't like the liver sauce, they just want vinegar to counter the saltiness, of course. So anyway, yung ginawa ko dito sa Balay Dutong, it's like, people will book for the lechon. It's for themselves. It's just the second. And we will time the cooking. It's like more or less like 2 hours of cooking to the time that it will be served. It should sit about 30 minutes. Just like cooking steak, you rest it for a few minutes. Na mainit pa yung laman, pero you should let the skin like in a way settle at room temperature. But if you let that too long, it might collapse the skin. Okay, the crunchiness. So the thing is, I show them like, I serve them first the balat, and then the different parts of the balat even no? Like on the top, the back fat, yung pinakataas niya would be the
Yung
back,
likod ng baboy.
yung
In other
likod ng
words.
baboy. That's the crispiest, then the hardest portion. And whereas the belly portion, where all the drippings of the stuffing goes, medyo malambot, but that has the most flavorful
Mm-mm.
in terms of taste. So iba-ibang profile nung bawat part ng ano, and then of course on the top, after you remove the skin, would be the pork chop, the loin that you see there. It's kind of lean but very dry sometimes, but for me para bang walang joy. It's like it's so bland, meaning tasteless. There you need the sarsa ng lechon. And then meron sa batok, medyo mataba, but again tasty and so tender. And then of course the belly part, yung sa ilalim ng liampo, ay yung liampo nga, no, the binaka belly, that's the bacon part. And that's the tastiest because it's layering of fat, and you still need the fat no matter what they say. But well, the thing is, and then of course the ribs, which we serve differently naman. And then before yung mga tira-tira, what do they do with it? Di ba? Usually paksiw. It's literally, after you cook it, looks like a literally pig's slop. Talagang it's not pretty to look at. But like in my case, we get the trotters as before we serve the yung mga paa, no, and the kuko.
You
already
put stuffing.
We put stuffing like
Ano yung the best stuffing?
well, the lemongrass, number one.
Okay.
Then garlic and whole pepper, then salt. And then we use also like leeks, onion, the spring onions, the leaves. So all of that, these are what we call the aromatics. And it gives it like, it counters the, sometimes some people don't like the smell of the pig itself, the pork itself. But this one really makes it so well appetizing at the same time, no?
Does the age of the pig matter?
Yes and no, depending on, well, the age. Yes, usually like 6 months or 3 months. No, I think when we order the pig, I tell them the size. So it's like,
Size lang.
yeah, the size like 25 kilo.
And age can determine size also.
Of course, yeah. I mean, if it's too big, the outside may be cooked and then the inside may be still kind of
I see.
raw.
Okay.
So
Because it's so big.
because it's so big. The one we had in Silay was big, because that was the but it was well cooked.
And it was good.
It was good, yes.
Yeah.
That's
It was
why-
well cooked and it came and it was brought to us hot, no?
Exactly,
Mainit pa
yes.
siya,
Still hot,
bagong
yes.
luto.
Yes.
In fact, we had been waiting around for it. So it was not waiting for us. We were waiting for the lechon, I suppose, to be cooked. And then
Yes.
dumating yung lechon, and then you took over, no? You were cutting it up and you were saying yung balat dito sa may tiyan, dito sa likod, ito yung
Exactly.
pinakamalutong. Actually, because it was newly cooked, no? Or the way it was cooked, malutong lahat ang balat eh.
Exactly.
Yeah, and but I understand what you mean now, where some parts are more flavorful, no? Mas masarap yung sa bandang tiyan. You were saying the stomach was the tastiest part because nandun yung juices, nandun yung stuffing, and
exactly.
doon nababad. Even the skin, no, was good.
Yeah,
there.
I guess I took over the carving because there was no one to explain. I mean, meaning who else? Since I knew it.
Well, we appreciated it. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I know. It's always
that's why we're
a welcome
talking
thing.
about it now.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, if there's no one knowledgeable about it or no experience, like I've had like what 30 years of serving it and knowing the different parts. So I guess in a way that's what people come here for in Baledutung. In a way, it's an educational thing for them. And the comment that I get after well, they will never see the lechon the same way again, of course, no? But and the funny thing is like, oh my God, that's like everything will be downhill from here. I mean,
Well, for the
they will convey
uninformed,
that.
Cloud, no, they would think that, what's so hard about making lechon? You put stuffing, then you roast it, then you eat it. So, pero there is a technique, there is an art to making lechon, and in fact, there are variations nga. Sabi mo nga, you're proud of the way you prepare lechon in your restaurant, and in Pampanga, I'm sure there's a style, and then yung natikman natin sa Negros, that was, I guess, their style, and then you talked about the lechon in Cebu, which impressed this international show, no? And then of course in Manila there's the La Loma na supplier ng maraming lechon
Yeah,
dito, no?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So what gives the best lechon their edge? I mean, for the uninformed who thinks lahat naman ng lechon pare-pareho naman yan, no? But why is there such a wide difference between
Well,
ordinary lechon and then really,
oo.
really good lechon?
Well, the thing is I guess it's regional. In the sense, I haven't mentioned yet the one in Ilocos.
They have a
Where
different one.
yeah, they stuff it with karumbuaya. It's like a cactus leaf. And
Cactus leaf.
yeah, they chop it up, they stuff the lechon with it. And the thing there, they don't have sarsa ng lechon, liver sauce. They don't have the suka. You know what they have? They get the blood of the pig and make it like a dinuguan thing. I mean, basically, when we say dinuguan, you cook the blood of the animal with vinegar. So it's actually like a paksiw na dugo or a sinigang na
Yun ang sauce nila. Kumbaga, yun ang
sauce
gravy.
nila. Exactly. So, nandun pa rin yung asim, no? But the thing is, yung sauce nila would be the dinuguan with, without the innards and all. And then the karumbuaya, I've experienced this, like they did the whole lechon for my show, for my TV show. And then at the same time, prior to that, years before that, I bought at the wet market of vegan, I bought like a kilo. So with 1 kilo of chopped lechon, you get like a small bag of dinuguan for the sauce and a small bag of the karumbuaya stuffing, which they eat together, all together, para bang yun ang salad mo or sides. So anyway, that's Ilocano.
How does that leaf, ano yun? Karambuaya?
Karumbuaya.
Yeah. How does that affect the flavor?
In a way, it's like kind of citrusy, kind of slimy, parang kamyas ang dating na hindi ganun kaasim. But again, it serves like an aromatic in the sense that it subdues the rawness of the pork. So the one we had in Silay, it was stuffed with batuan.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the I will not say it's a very acidic thing, but that's the Ilonggo thing. I mean, it's a Negrense, Ilonggo, because it's endemic there and it cannot be found anywhere else. So,
okay, well, sorry, explain to our audience, baka ngayon lang nila narinig yung batuan. So it comes from a fruit tree.
It comes from a fruit tree, and the Ilonggos, the Negrenses, then they use it a lot for their stews, for their KBL, the Kadios Baboy Langka. It's a subtle flavoring. So there you go. It's theirs. It's what makes it what defines it as Ilonggo and Negros. So in the same way here in Pampanga, we don't have so much aromatics. Basically, the Pampanga lechon, it's very much like the La Loma lechon. At best, they would put salt. It's just recent. Well, recent, when I say recent, like the past 20, 30 years, that they introduced the Cebu style lechon here. That's why there's what we call the style. Cebu style, Bacolod style, whatever. So the Ilocano style. And then the sauces that we prepare for it would be different in different regions. So to experience this, my in a way disappointment in eating in lechon restaurants. You order, so they chop it up, and you don't get the pieces that you want. Uh, as
The
they
kitchen
portion
decides
it.
what you will eat.
Yeah.
Oo.
So, and then of course, like it has been sitting there for several hours. So again, it's kind of at room temperature at best.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay, we can talk about lechon for a long time, but
yes.
we need to move on. But just to summarize, no,
Yeah.
to get the best experience, the best lechon experience this holiday season, make sure that as much as possible that it's freshly cooked, newly cooked, it's hot, no, and then and it's got good stuffing, and the skin is crispy, and then unahin yung skin sa likod and then sa tiyan, and then maybe give it to your your most valued guests,
Yes.
yung mga baka yung bihirang makatikim niyan, yung
Yeah.
maybe your balikbayan siblings or whatever, no, yung skin sa tiyan, skin sa likod, and then yung meat dun sa bandang tiyan, because that's the most flavorful, no.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you were the sidekick and guide of a variety of places, no? So, may very simple, well, it looked simple, no? Yung parang karinderya, but it was
Yeah. Actually,
you brought him there because it had
yeah.
good kambing.
Recording stuff.
Oh,
Recording
okay.
in progress.
Yeah, yeah. Both of us have worked in TV, Cloud, no? And yeah, if your host asks you what do you think of this dish, they're not going to say it's bad, no. I mean,
Yes.
of course they're going to
Being
say they
polite.
love it, it's good, it's otherwise hindi yun ere, right? I mean,
Yes.
we know better. We've been
But
TV hosts for a long
but
time.
that's Filipino.
Oh yeah,
Too
yeah,
polite.
and Anthony Bourdain is a very gracious guest, no. He was a guest, but off camera, what was he saying about the eating the goat brain and the goat eye and all the stuff that a lot of
Yeah.
foreigners probably
Oh,
would
yeah.
not touch?
Yeah. Okay. Let's put. I mean, listen to my story. Like to more than anything to illustrate like how you can literally say he's an authentic person. Like he is what you see, and he doesn't present himself otherwise. No. So um so we were having the papaitan. So papaitan is basically the bile that soup. Basically, it's like a sinigang. It's like a sour soup. Well, it's cooked in vinegar or kamyas, and then and the intestines of the innards of the goat plus the bile. You know the bile, what it is? So it is actually okay. They feed the goat with grass an hour before it is slaughtered. So as he choose and choose, di ba? The grass, and it goes to the stomach. While still in the stomach, it is mixed. Well, while chewing, it is mixed with the saliva, whatever gastric acid, and then in the stomach again with the stomach acid, whatever they call it. So while it's still mixed, it's being processed. Then they slaughter it. So they get the stomach, and then they come out with like, this drink, the seagrass. What is that? The seagrass. It looks like that. It's green, and then they mash it. It's like putting in a food processor grass. So you get you press out the juices from that thing, and then that's what they use for the papaitan, literally.
So it's half digested grass.
Half digested grass.
Oh.
It's not yet in the intestines, so it's not yet becoming manure.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's still from the stomach. I mean, it's still being processed. So I guess so when the producer of Bourdain chose the goat shack, because I presented it like they only slaughter one goat for the day, and you have to reserve the head for the sinigang. And then they serve it 4 ways: the caldereta for the meat and bones, and then the head for the sinigang, and then the skin for the kilawin, and then of course the papaitan. So when it came for the caldereta is like it went by like that. I mean, he didn't really cared for it. So when the papaitan was about. So, Cloud, what is the next one? Well, I described it, and then you know what his reaction was. This is on film. Without saying a word, he reacted like this. I mean, he swallowed like that, and then by your description alone, I'm scared even to try it. So, so when we presented the bowl, and I gave instructions prior to the waiter to give us like calamansi and chopped chilies on the side. So
Uh-huh.
how do you attack this? He said, well, you can add more calamansi if you want it more sour, or the chilies. And he got the whole plate full of chilies in the bowl. So the thing was, like, as he tried a spoonful, then he said, man, this is actually good. It's not just like, so then he what? He already what is the term there? Percolate. He processed in his mind. So he spoke. You know why I was scared before to try it, because like I've had really bad bile in Cambodia or Laos or somewhere. So and then I wanted to puke. That's what he said. And then I didn't know where to turn, like, to spit it out. But this is actually good. So he kept on talking and then eating at the same time. And then the camera, I mean the cat. So we were still talking. You know what he did? This is off camera. He got the whole bowl and drank it like that to the last drop. That's how he loved it. And I guess this speaks for the whole episode. So in that episode of No Reservations of like 30 minutes, usually 25 minutes, no, put together, there were like 5 segments. 3 of the segments were in Pampanga with me in Baledutung, with the Goat Shack, and then Aling Lusing, the sisig, which he loved also. But the thing is, after the show has been shown, I bumped into an American friend living here in Angeles, who is also from New York, and he said, Cloud, I saw that thing with Bourdain. I guess he must have loved your food. Why do you say that? I said, he did not say a single cuss word in the whole show.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
He loved it. He loved the Filipino food. I mean, he loved
Yeah.
everything.
Okay.
And he loved what I noticed, like he loved like oily, the innards, the intestines, just like a typical Filipino man, like especially for drinking, yung para bang it's a good chow food, para bang no, drinking food. So that's why he loves sisig as well. He wrote in his blog, the crispy, oily thing, and perfectly goes well with beer. So
Mhm. Okay, I want to ask you about that, because that was one of the dishes that he tried also in
Yes.
Angeles, no?
Yes.
And then after that, no, he became a champion of sisig.
Yes.
He loved Filipino food in general, no? And you could see that he really enjoyed even the goat head, the goat eye, the brain, etc. But he really talked about sisig for for a long time, and he was a real champion of it. I mean, he called it the #1 Filipino dish. I guess that was his favorite. But he also, he was before he became a TV host, Bourdain was also a successful restaurant chef, no, in New York, which is
In New York.
a very demanding market, no? So sabi niya, sisig, of all the Filipino dishes, it has the highest possibility of success. It is, sabi niya, it will be our breakout food, kasi at that time, wala pa masyado nakakaalam, no, ng Filipino
Exactly.
food. As you recall, you guided him in 2007, no? Sabi niya, it's going to set the world on fire, no? Sabi niya, so that's quite an endorsement. So that was a decade ago, more than a decade ago. I want to ask you, since then ba, with this kind of endorsement by, perhaps the most popular TV food show host in the world, has sisig actually set the world on fire? I mean, I know Filipino restaurants are now having a moment in a lot of places, no? But anong status ngayon ng sisig sa food world?
Food world. Well, I guess even the New York Times wrote about it as the #1 pork dish in the world. No?
Really?
Yeah, but it was Bourdain who literally like catapulted the popularity of sisig. And for me, why the best part is like they did not have to translate what sisig is. They adapted the word, no, in its original form, but I mean its original name. So that's what I'm most glad about. And it has sisig has taken over the popularity of like adobo or pancit of one when talking about Filipino food. It's the most popular thing. Of course, it has undergone so many variations and all that every restaurant would have their own version, and it's no different from like having adobo, countless variations, right? So but the thing is it's like a cooking process that they chop up boiled and then chop grilled, and then they serve it on a seasoning plate, and which everybody loves. It's like and you can have it with chicken, with shrimps, with anything, with tofu if you're vegetarian. But they for I mean, keep in mind what sisig is to us Pampangos. It's basically about the, dipping it in raw vinegar and or
Mhm.
calamansi. You
Mhm.
don't cook that because once is the heat is introduced, it becomes adobo or paksiw. So
Mm.
you cook everything, put in a seasoning plate, then you add your asin.
Mhm.
That's the sisig to us Kapampangan. And it's no
Does it
different.
have to sizzle? Kasi usually
Well,
sinaserve yan,
yes,
sizzling, di ba?
nagsisizzle. It can sizzle or not. But the thing is, again, that is the present day, the most popular version of sisig is the sizzling thing.
Mm-mm.
But originally for us, sisig is like the kilawin na baboy. It is
Mhm.
served at room temperature and it's soaked in vinegar, just
Mhm.
like tokwat baboy.
Mhm. So do you think Sisig deserved that kind of endorsement? I mean, do you agree it's the number one Filipino dish? It has the highest possibility of success. It's sabi ni Bourdain, it's the most delicious food on the planet. It's the ultimate beer food. Kung ano-ano mga sinasabi niya, parang all the superlatives
Yes.
he applied to Sisig. Does Sisig deserve that?
Yes, I guess so. And in terms of popularity, and it's so accessible in the sense that everybody can have it nowadays everywhere,
Mm-mm.
even in
Kasi
the
maraming
country.
masasarap na pagkain Pinoy, di ba? Pero he
Yes.
really singled out Sisig.
Yeah, you know why? It has replaced again not only the adobo, but it's like eating in a fast way. Um, all the ulam is there, and then of course the version now they put egg. For me, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as I mean, it's a very convenient food. They put it on rice topping. So, if you're in a hurry, it fills you up. It satisfies your craving for pork, fatty thing. So, I mean, we Filipinos are generally really pork eaters.
Yeah, and of course, see, Bourdain is a famous drinker as well, and it goes well with beer now. That's also one of the reasons why. But you know what? One of the things he said about sisig was, in addition to being delicious and it has texture and all of that, sabi niya meron siyang integrity. When can you say why? First of all, why did he say that sisig has integrity? Did he explain that, or how do you understand that word as it applies to food? And do you agree? Anong thoughts mo in terms of
Okay, integrity.
sisig, integrity,
Yeah,
food, and
yeah,
integrity? What does
yeah.
integrity mean
In a
when
way,
applied to a
it's like
cuisine?
yeah. Anyway, it's like a street food thing that the ordinary people eat, and then maybe just went up the social ladder that it became like I mean, what Filipino restaurant nowadays that doesn't serve sisig, no? So the thing is, from the street food that ordinary people eat, uh it's so accessible, it's so affordable because you get the even though the prices of pork in general has risen up the past 2-3 years because of the swine thing. The head, basically the mascara, especially the jowls, and these are the fattiest part of the thing of the pig. We just love it. Literally, we lap it up. So in terms of authenticity and the integrity, I mean, there's nothing so pretentious about it. It's what it is, and it's just good. Um, in terms of integrity, I must say, uh, the version of sisig that they put mayonnaise, that is not sisig to us, Kapampangans.
Mm-mm.
That's an aberration. It's like, what?
Mm.
Like, you
Eh,
know,
yung may itlog. Yung may itlog.
na may itlog, pwede pa kasi ngayon naging ulam na eh. Para bang
Mm.
yung giniling na baboy, that
Hindi lang
toasted
hindi
baboy,
na hindi na hindi na lang
hindi na
pulutan 'to.
pulutan, hindi na
Oo.
pulutan. So naging
Mm.
ulam namin, it's up to them, like how they, I mean, I mean, the expression like we choose our own poison, right? Like if
Mhm.
they want to kill themselves with the mayonnaise. I mean, if you put mayonnaise on a sizzling plate, it's gonna melt into oil.
Mm, mm.
So the thing is, what these popular restaurants did with adding mayonnaise, they were trying to mimic the dinakdakan of the Ilocanos. Dinakdakan, what is dinakdakan? It's basically like sisig, meaning boiled, grilled pig's face. They chop it. I mean, yeah, their version is like they chop it into big chunks, meaning into bits, no, not really chop like that. Slices, and then they they put the vinegar, the onions, the usual. But the thing is, they put a boiled pig's brain. They apply it into the mixture, so it has like a creamy coating to it, very much like putting cream cheese. So when they commercialize that in the restaurants in Manila, they in its place, they put mayonnaise to mimic the creaminess of the of the uh, of the pig's brain. But what they don't realize is in Ilocos, they don't put it on a sizzling plate. It's just served at room temperature. That's why you maintain the creaminess. But if you put that mayonnaise thing on a sizzling plate, it's like more oil over lard. It's like you mentioned that to any Kapampangan, who says, "Ew."
Yeah, yeah,
Para
yeah,
bang kadiri. I mean kadiri.
yeah.
It's really
Yeah. Cloud,
yeah.
before we leave the subject of Anthony Bourdain, I have to ask you, how
Yeah.
you reacted when you learned that he committed suicide, in 2018.
Yeah.
Kasi many were shocked, of course, kasi he seemed to be living the perfect life. He loved life, no? He exuded it on camera, and he called Filipinos the most caring people in the world, no? Kaya na
Yeah, exactly.
that's why Filipinos also loved him back, no? So,
Yeah.
but did he show any other emotions, like off camera?
So
Did
wait,
he show any sadness?
uh, when he came here for the last time, this would be the third time. He was a guest speaker at the Wall Street Food Summit of Sito, yeah, KF Sito from Singapore. So it was held at the MOA. Uh, the
What year
thing
was
was
that?
a year before his death.
That's 2017.
Yes,
He died in 2018.
yes. So sometime like April or May of 2017.
And you met up with him then?
Yes, actually, I had the privilege of interviewing him. Like you're given like 10 minutes
Yes.
for ANC.
Okay.
So I'm talking about CSIG and his project. So at that
Yes.
time, he was invited to talk about well, the street food, but he came here to basically make a sales pitch for his forthcoming Bourdain Food Hall in New York, and he was supposed to recruit a sisig vendor and a lechon vendor to bring to New York. Okay, so that was his main objective. And as a matter of fact, there was a briefing calling all the potential they were going to help them get a work visa, this and that, business permit, or whatever. But the thing is that even like prior to the interview, there was something. He looked so unwell, gaunt, like really thin and all that, and the way he projected himself, it's like para bang aburrido, yung talagang you did not see that the same smile, the same if you can say, he was so, I mean, in 2007, parang he was so bibo, yung what was
Yeah.
that term?
Mm.
So that was all missing.
Mhm.
Uh, so probably, I mean, just uh, he was not well, or he was not in his right. I don't know, like there was parang sabi ng mga ibang vloggers and yung ano sa kanya, they did not get a chance even to happen. There was a cordon sanitaire, they could not get near him, and then it was so masungit
Oo.
daw. It's like, of course, he was
Oo.
in a hurry, and this and that. He did not entertain any selfies and all that.
Oo.
So,
So you're one of the lucky ones.
well, in
Na
a way,
na
because it was
he gave you a few
pre-arranged.
minutes at least, and
Yes,
then
yes.
he
And of
appeared on
course,
your show.
he already knew me. I mean, meaning,
Yes.
yeah,
Oo.
yeah.
Yeah. May pinagsamahan na kayo. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oo. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was kind of sad. But actually, I saw his
I was not
yeah.
particularly shocked, in the sense that baka nga, no, my was already troubled, or
Yeah, yeah. Well,
uh,
I saw the documentary about him after he died, and
uh,
during that time, in the last part of his life, he was having some domestic troubles.
yes,
Yun. Anyway, we don't have to dwell on that.
yes,
It's just a sad thing, but we don't want to omit that detail because he's no longer with us, and but he did help spread joy, no,
of course, yes,
about Filipino culture, not just Filipino food, no, but Filipino culture, and he had a lot of things to say about Filipinos in general, our love for
mhm,
family, our love
yeah,
for serving others, being of service, no. Sabi nga niya, we're the most caring people in the world. Sabi nga niya sa
yeah,
show
because
niya.
yung nanny ng kanyang daughter
Mhm.
is Filipina,
Yes,
and
he wrote
then
an article actually on CNN,
yeah,
which I read, no, about that, no. But since then, no, okay,
yeah,
I was
yeah,
in New York last summer, and it seems that Filipino restaurants are having a moment, no. You go to a
mhm,
Filipino restaurant in the States, lalo na sa coasts, no, sa West and East Coast, and you have non-Filipino customers, enjoying
exactly, yes,
lumpia and I don't know how popular dinuguan is to non-Filipinos, no, but certainly we've the pancit, I mean, uh, there's a lot of good Filipino food that's being made available to a lot of non-Filipino diners, no,
yeah,
and in Paris, France, no, yung anak ni Jim Paredes is
oh
become
yeah,
is a rising chef, babae na ano siya, and she does Filipino fusion, and she's from a pop-up. She now has her own restaurant, and I was in France last June. I couldn't get a reservation, no? Ganun na ka-popular, no?
after the interview with him, the episode, it was shown, and did I mention earlier, like, I was interned by local media. So
Mhm.
the main question was like, how did Bourdain choose me? Why?
Mhm.
Now, why me? So I have only one answer. It's like, among many other Filipino chefs, he could
Mm.
have interviewed the kwan. I'm sure they were
Maraming
maraming
options. Oo.
gustong kwan. So I only one answer. It's very simple. Because I was cooking Filipino food. When all around me were doing fusion, molecular, and all that. Angkong ko, all these years, or these decades, I've been promoting, advocating, yun na nga, mention mo, Filipino, local, local, local. And that's how I got noticed, because I was doing local.
Yeah, and that's what he wanted, no? He's not going to go to
Exactly.
the Philippines
Exactly.
for fusion.
Exactly.
You can have that in New York, di ba?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oo. But anyway, um, so why are Filipino restaurants kind of belatedly having a moment, no? In the last few years, you have been talking about Filipino cuisine, Filipino food for a long time, and not just you, but people like, sila Nancy Reyes, Doreen Fernandez. I mean, a lot of people have been writing about it, and then Anthony Bourdain came here and did this show in 2007 pa. But parang ang daming nagtatayo ngayon ng Filipino restaurants that are becoming quite popular. So they're having a moment.
Yeah. Well, it did not come overnight. It's like we've been working on it like the past 30 years. di ba, for the longest time, the question was like, why is Filipino food like left behind by the Thais, by the ano, like
Oo.
30 years
Vietnamese.
ago? Yeah,
Oo.
Vietnamese, even little known Laos or whatever,
Yes.
in the international scene. And
Yes.
then for so long, like, uh, I mean, that has been the perennial question, why? And then, well, my answer to that is like, there was lack of information, lack, maybe the drive. I, I will not say because of the government disinterest or what. I will not blame them. It's mainly due. I've read it somewhere, like 10 years, 15 years ago. It was written by this Phil Am doing a thesis or whatever, and then on the Filipino thing. And he himself wrote that it was the Phil Amps were the main reason why the Filipino food did not like easily penetrate the mainstream market, meaning, talking about America,
Yeah.
because there was, as I mentioned earlier, there was like food shaming. They
Mm.
themselves will not patronize a restaurant, a Filipino upscale restaurant trying to enter the market to non-Filipinos. They themselves will not patronize it. Why would we eat there? My Lola's adobo is better than theirs and so
Mm.
expensive. So they will not even give it a chance. So the thing is, that went on and on.
Mm.
Di ba may mga efforts 1990 to 1995, if I'm not mistaken, the years, no? But for 5 years, Larry Cruz opened Manila in Georgetown in Washington DC for
Mm.
5 years, and it was upscale, meaning Ted
Mm.
Koppel ate there,
Mhm.
whoever the other
Mhm.
TV personalities. So and their market was foreign, meaning non-Filipinos. The main market, until he had to come home and then sold the business to, I think, the Roa family. But then I don't know how it lasted after that. But the thing was, there were so many efforts also in the West Coast. Basically, the same story.
But
The Tito of the
could it be mainstream tastes were quite squeamish about some of our foods? I mean, nagkaroon tayo ng reputation for like eating dog, which is a beloved pet in a lot of cultures.
Yeah, what about the Koreans? They eat dog
Yeah,
too.
well, you were, in fact, there's a novel called The Dog Eaters, no, pertaining to
Yeah,
Filipinos,
I
no,
know.
sila
Yeah,
si Jessica
Hagedorn. Yeah.
Hagedorn.
Yeah.
And then we eat yun nga yung mga ulo, which is sa ibang sa ibang kultura, parang that's kind of almost taboo, right? I mean, they
Mm.
don't, a lot of cultures don't even eat fish heads, no? Tayo kumakain pa tayo ng mammal heads, no?
Yeah, what about
Yung
the Chinese? Oh, okay.
ulo ng yeah, but yun na nga, and maybe, well, I'm not saying it's a fair reputation. I'm just
Yes, it's
saying
not a fair.
maybe
Yeah.
I'm just trying to analyze why it's taken so long. And of course, the whole concept of eating blood, yung dinuguan, when I mentioned this to white friends who aren't very adventurous, I mean, syempre, nagre-react sila. What you eat pig's blood, parang sobrang kadiri. And of course, balot, is the may live chicks, I mean, may formed chicks sa loob
Yes.
ng itlog. I mean, that's famously
Yeah,
kind
this,
of grotesque for a lot of people, no? So nagkaroon tayo ng reputation na gano'n, no, na parang kadiri, we eat a lot of kadiri foods, no, na hindi palatable sa me. Although na-overlook din yung our the more I guess acceptable, socially acceptable foods that we have, and we have plenty. We have noodles, we've got lumpia, we've got peanut sauce, and all of this, no. But I guess what it also shows maybe is foreign tastes have also evolved so that more people are like Bourdain, that they're hindi sila nangdidiri, hindi sila, they don't react in a kind of gross way to being offered, goat brain or yung mga kinain nyo sa Angeles, no? I guess kasi, he's very mainstream, no? Itong si Bourdain.
Yeah, I guess with the exposure of all these TV shows, no, ang dami-daming like the past 10, 15 years,
Mm-mm.
na the people watching from their homes, like they get exposed to all these different kinds of cuisines and the extremes, no, mga ganon. So it becomes more and more, they become more and more knowledgeable on what there is outside of their Western food, whatever they're eating. Even if you go deep south in the US, like, the Afro Americans have this tradition of eating blood and intestines and all that, because these are the discards of the meat industry that they find, that is available to them.
Pagkain na
It's so
mahihirap,
cheap and
no?
all that. Exactly, kind of
Oo,
mahihirap.
oo.
But in the end, it became like again, naging
Delicacy.
delicacy. That's what I'm saying. Yes, and also like in Eastern Europe, or even like the UK, they have the black pudding,
Mm-mm.
the black sausage for breakfast.
Mm-mm.
And what is
Mm-mm.
that? Blood, pork blood.
Mm-mm.
And of course, the haggis of the Irish.
Mm-mm.
What is the
Parang
haggis?
sisig
Is
din yun
it's
di ba?
parang,
I've eaten that.
no, it's not sisig in a
Yung sa
way.
Scotland,
It's more
Scotland,
of
no? May sariling haggis.
Scotland,
Oo.
Scotland. I mean, yeah, okay. Scotland, it's actually the intestines of the sheep that they chop it up and then they put it in the stomach of the sheep. It's like a big sausage. Ang dating niya, if you break it apart, it's like boppies. Ganun. So it's no different sa ibang kultura. I mean, they eat that. The French have the boudin, the black sausage again, the morcilla of the Spaniards.
So everyone has their own version of
Yes, iba
what
lang
could
yung
be
form.
considered by other
Yeah.
cultures as
Yeah,
kind of
masyado lang
gross
itim
or grotesque, no?
gross. But once
Oo.
they try it, I'm all okay with, like, if their knowledge of Filipino cuisine would be with the adobo, pancit, and lumpia, that's fine. For me, that's an entry level. I mean, at least nakapasok na. Ngayon, look at now. It's like they have to try sisig. They have to try the bangus. They have to try this and that. So more lumalawak na yung kanilang kilalaman sa ano. And then this, I mean, what I find so amusing, we get a lot of guests na Filipinas married to foreigners.
Mhm.
And then when they eat here, napapansin ko, yung foreigners na yon kumakain na rin with fork and spoon. Nakalimutan na yung tinidor nila and the knife. Yung gano'n.
Well, Claude, meron akong kamag-anak, nag-uwi siya nung umuwi siya recently, no? Kasi ang daming hindi nakauwi for a long time because of the pandemic. So ang daming nag-uuwian this year. Itong kamag-anak ko ay merong French husband na tinuruan niya magkamay, no? Of course everyone was laughing at the way he was doing it. Pero game siya, knowing na this is the culture I married into. So I mean, of course that's beyond spoon and fork, no? Na medyo hindi mo hinahawakan. Pero ito sa Batangas kasi ito, no, na maraming sanay magkamay doon, no? So that's really the ultimate way of consuming a lot of local food, no, na ang tawag nila doon sakol, no, yung yung eating with your hands. But now that you mention it, no, so ang daming nagbabalik bayan ngayon, and many Filipinos overseas, young Filipinos, got hitched, got engaged, have new partners na hindi Filipino, and they're bringing them home to be introduced to family and to Filipino culture and to Filipino food, no? So, ikaw, you have a lot of experience hosting all kinds of people, no? Both common people and celebrities, I guess, no? And foreigners, Filipinos from around the world. So, what foods should these non-Filipinos try in the Philippines if they're just going to stay here for a couple of weeks during the holiday season? What food should they not leave the Philippines without trying?
So aside from the lechon.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that even if they don't ask for it or look for it, nandyan yan, no?
Yeah, we have the first, number one, the kare-kare, and then could be the oxtail beef kare-kare or the seafood kare-kare. It's basically the peanut-based sauce, and for me, even for Bourdain, he said it's like a truly one of the original Filipino dishes. Like it could have been like the original fusion thing. that, where did the peanuts come from the New World, Mexico, right? And then the bagoong, that's the indigenous. And then the atsuete again, what would be kare-kare without the atsuete? If it's like, have you eaten like a
Unique pa
potato?
sa Pinoy ang peanut sauce, yung nilalagay natin sa kare-kare. Is that a unique
Well,
Filipino flavor?
no, the peanut sauce is used widely in Indonesia.
Mhm.
So for their satay, so they have a
Yes,
peanut,
yung sauce.
yeah, the sauce, peanut plus gata, the coconut milk.
Yes,
So
that's right.
yeah, and then of course they use shallots, this and that, and also I think they put a little tamarind, meaning yung asim. So something like that. So it's a very Malay Indonesian thing, the use of peanuts. So but the marriage of and then why oxtail, why beef? In the first place, beef was very, very expensive during the Spanish times. So it was, I mean, the cattle was introduced by the Spaniards, but it did not trickle down to the masses, that in the sense that it's not a staple meat. So the staple meat then was basically pork and chicken. So when you have beef, it's for special occasions, right? And also the goat, very special. I mean, more expensive than the pork, because it's only used for special occasions. Pag may fiesta, pag nag-inuman yung lalaki, ano. Anyway, I would make them try kare, and then the sinigang sa bayabas, which we call bulanglang here. And if you can find the ulang, and this is the freshwater prawns with a big head. Are you familiar with that? They call it udang in Indonesia. So ulang, it's basically like a they call it crayfish in English, but it's basically still a prawn, freshwater prawn. So yun. What else? Of course, aside from this.
Well,
No, but
Claude,
yeah,
just to interrupt, no, because you've written about sourness, no,
yeah, the sourness. Yeah.
as a kind of peculiar to Filipino cuisine. I don't want to say unique, no, but the food writer and historian Doreen Fernandez has also written about our sourness, the sourness of many of our delicacies, no,
yes.
favorite foods, and of course,
Yeah.
sinigang is famously sour, and then meron tayong sinampalukang manok.
Sinigang, all kinds of things.
Is sourness, does that have an appeal to other cultures? Why does that seem to be peculiar to a lot of our cooking?
Okay, so number one, to answer the peculiarity in our cooking, Doreen Fernandez wrote the abundance of vinegars all over the country or all over the archipelago, where it's the number one way of preserving, at the same time flavoring, at the same time dipping sauce. Okay, so the thing is, that's why we have, she wrote, we have a predisposition to anything sour. We love green mangoes, and then there's kamyas, there is all this sampalok, there's all over the Philippines, there's a lot of sour fruits that we introduce into the cooking to make sinigang. So even with vinegar, when we cook, we cook it with any meat or vegetable, that then becomes the adobo or the paksiw, no? I mean, these are the cooking terms now. At the same time, if you introduce it to raw fish, especially very, very fresh seafood, any seafood, and that's the kinilaw. Again, sour. As a matter of fact, my friend Butsi Alcita, the professor from Ateneo,
and anthropologist, no?
Anthropologist, yes. So he says his Indonesian friends find our cuisine so sour, so jarringly sour. They don't
Jarringly pa.
Yes. So talagang naano daw sila, para bang, what is this? Why is it sour? So the thing is, it takes kind of like an acquired taste to be accustomed to our cooking.
It's not for everyone.
It's
Ayun,
not
fellow Southeast Asians na yon, ha?
Yes. So it's uniquely Filipino, I must say. Even in the culinary cookbook, we've established that, which I am like one of 6 writers. It was established that what to define Filipino cuisine is it's a cooking of sourness. no, the acidity, but in different degrees. It's not just all sour. So when I define what Philippine cuisine is, it's like a symphony of sweet, sour, salty, and in a single bite. That's the difference. At the same time, in every region, the notes of each taste of flavor would be like more, like for the Tagalogs and the south, the southern Tagalog, the Calabarzon area, sourness is above all. And then salty maybe and a little sweet. Pampanga, since we're a sugar producing province, we have that sweetness above all. You know the tocino, why it was discovered here. I mean, basically created here, and then not all, and then sours and then salty. In Ilocos, it's the salty. And then bitter. Diba? Yung papaitan,
yung
palaya, saluyot, they love anything bitter. It's like,
that's right.
yeah. So, again, gaganon-ganon yung very regional pa rin. Not just generally.
Okay. Wow. Iniisip ko yung asim, no? I mean, there are a lot of Filipino diners na the more maasim, the better, no? Parang, kita mo yung nasasarapan talaga sila pag sobrang ano pala, nagre-react pala yung mga ibang foreigner doon, no? Na sobra silang hindi nila kaya yung asim natin.
And you mentioned green mango with bagoong to any Filipino in the room.
Like, maglalaway na.
Maglalaway, magangasim yung kan, di ba? Gaganon. Gaganon sa tenga yung... and then you start craving for it.
Okay, I have to ask you, no?
Yeah.
Is it possible to cook and love Filipino food and be and eat healthy?
Oh yes, definitely. So, okay, so let's put it this way. Tingnan mo yung culinary book. I mean, the original, the old age thing that what kept us from being accepted internationally. The foreigners would say like, it's all brown and oily. Di ba ganun ang description ng Filipino food at that time? So that's not true. We have lots of, the rainbows, the color of the rainbows in our dishes, in our vegetables alone. And they say that we tend to overcook our vegetables. No, I mean, you can cook. Look at ano na lang. Look at pinakbit. Look at all our salads and all that. The pako,
Pako, you don't even cook. Diba?
Yes,
you serve it raw.
Salad lang. But we have lots of like the green, the unripe jackfruit. Diba? Yung langka. And then, I mean, there's so much healthy thing is. But like you mentioned, like how you imagine like the way I eat. I don't eat like that every day or every meal. Maybe it just shows that my katakawan on video because you do it for a show. But basically, the secret thing there is like in anything in moderation, everything in moderation, and you complement that with the right exercise.
Okay.
It's the lifestyle.
Balance, no?
It's the lifestyle. Balance.
Healthy lifestyle. Yeah, kasi ang context nito, Claude, no? Lahat ng pinag-usapan natin, all the delicious foods, lechon, papaitan, sisig, parang they go well with gout, no? And they go well with high cholesterol and hypertension and all of these things that Filipinos are also notorious for. No, we don't we have a reputation for not having the healthiest diet, no, not having the healthiest lifestyle, no. But you're saying it's there, no? Hindi lang nasi-stress, no? We haven't talked about these dishes that you mentioned. Hindi pa natin nababanggit yung pako. Although I know that you served it to Anthony Bourdain and he liked it, no? So yon. So it's possible and there are sources for this, yung may libro dyan, and of course we have vegetable dishes, no? Yung pinakbet and bulanglang and sinigang also is not complete with vegetable dishes, no? And even kare-kare, no? May kadalasan may petsa yan and
I mean all the sides, yung mga gulay, and then you eat more of the gulay. Tapos may, diba, minsan may yung kare-kare meron pa yung banana heart. So I mean that's pure fiber.
Mhm.
plus the nutrition from the
What do you think of vegetarian Filipino food? Kasi ako, I've been trying to be semi-vegetarian. So I've been to restaurants where they have like vegetarian kare-kare, and instead of the tripe or the meat, they have tofu or
tofu.
veggie meat.
Yeah,
Uh, so it's possible.
it's possible, of course. I mean, there's nothing. What is there to stop us from like interpreting
I
a
mean, masarap
dish?
pa rin yun. I mean,
Of course, masarap
I
pa
mean,
rin.
meat is not necessary to enjoy Filipino food.
Yeah, exactly. It's not all meat. I mean, there's a lot of seafood thing, but if you say vegetarian, strictly vegan ka, or pescatarian, pwede pa rin. So the thing is, ang dami nating, okay, let's put it this way. We don't have salads per se, like in the Western way na categorize yung ating meal, no? Salad first, then soup, and this. Tayo sabay-sabay nandun. And then even if you eat like grilled pork, inihaw na baboy, meron kang what we call sausawan. I call it a quasi salad. Na merong kamatis, maybe sibuyas. Ako, may labanos, may wonsoy ka ba dyan? Yun na yung salad mo to accompany.
And we have
your meal.
achara.
And
Maraming
then we have
klaseng
achara.
achara.
Achara is basically to counter the cloyliness of the oil from whatever savory meat dish you're having. But the sides, what I'm so calling is like, if you're living in a coastal town, an island, let's say in the Visayas, you have your lato salad. That's the seaweed grapes.
And that's
then
healthy.
healthy. What I'm saying is there's always a vegetable sides na in whatever we're eating. Um, can I go back to the sisig and to tell you
Sige.
how it was
And there is
regarded?
vegetarian sisig. I've had that also.
Okay, so let's say, okay. So the word sisig came up was already in the Pampango Spanish dictionary written by this Fray Bergaño, no, fraile, Spanish friar in 1732. I exaggerate the pronunciation. 1732. So, and it was defined as a salad served with a vinaigrette. So why did he say salad? I was like thinking. Well, he said it's like basically like it was served to a pregnant woman who is who is like craving for something sour. So yung sa Tagalog naglilihi. So our word sisig is the same or equals to the Tagalog lihi. Manisig yang itang babae, manisig yang something. So in the absence of the green mango, which we all know is seasonal, she's given like maybe singkamas, pepino, any crunchy fruit dipped in vinegar. What is that in today's in present day situation? Isn't that crudité of the French? They serve you cucumber sticks, celery sticks,
Yes.
during cocktail. I mean, nowadays they call it crudité, meaning crude, meaning as in raw. So carrots, carrot stick, and on a dip with a dip. So in our case, and towards the term of the woman, nung malapit na siya manganak, she's given boiled pig's ears dipped in vinegar. What is that? We call it sisig babi. No? But the thing, in the belief that the cartilage and the skin from the ears will help develop the unborn child's bones. But what is that again in today's terms? Collagen. So they knew the value of the nutritional value of the collagen. Di ba tayo mga senior, pinapainom tayo ng collagen capsule? Why don't we can eat it from the natural source? So that's the sisig. And why did the bone marrow all of a sudden became vogue? They serve it everywhere na social. You know, it's cut lengthwise, and then they grill it, and then they give you a toast. It's your spread. It's like your pate. You know, that's pure fat. No, it's collagen. You go to any ramen, a true Japanese ramen place. What do they call their broth? The collagen soup. Because all the bones, the skin, maybe the fat, but the thing is, it's the collagen that is valued as the probably the tastiest, all the flavors of the both comes from the collagen produced by the long hours, many times 24 hours of simmering these animal bones, animal and fish bones. So that's the collagen. So again, healthy or what?
Yeah.
So there,
So,
it's not all bad.
so have you thought about what you're going to be serving already this Christmas or this Christmas season? I'm sure you're going to have
Well,
guests. You're going to be with family, friends.
yeah, we have this thing with my family. It's like since like what, the past 40 years since our mother started it and all that.
Mm.
Until she became old and too old to prepare. So not only two of my sisters together with my other siblings, we put together a dinner, a Christmas Eve dinner. Basically naging potluck. So very Western in the sense that whatever, there's roast beef or baked ham or whatever, and then of course the salads and the fruits, and then there's somebody who will buy all the breads, and somebody will bring the cold cuts and all that. So it's very Western in a way, but we never lack, this kakanin. The local the special Kapampangan specialties, the ensaymada, chocolate de baterol, and then we have this sweets from Magalang, Pampanga, where there's a strong tradition of using Carabao's milk in the pastillas, in the plantanillas. And then the next day, for Christmas Day itself, on December 25, for lunch, it started with our lolo, Dr. Jose Tayag, in the 60s. He was always serving that. It's just lechon and nilagang Pasko, we call it. What is nilagang Pasko?
what?
Nilagang Pasko.
Pasko, okay.
Yeah, it's just a boiled lunch, boiled dinner for lunch, no? So we call it Pasko because it's quite special. It's different from your everyday nilaga or nilagang manok. This one would have like pork, chicken, and beef. Okay? And then, meron siyang banana na saba. So you boil it together with some ham bones, and then maybe chorizo. So, and all that vegetables. May chickpeas, may ganito. So it's not so much different from the cocido madrileño. But the way we eat it, we serve it, it's always with lechon and that one, may soup. At tapos merong yung sausawan ng lolo ko, yung mashed chicken liver, you put patis calamansi. Tapos kung gusto mo may chili, no?
What makes Pampanga the culinary capital, the so-called culinary capital? And is that disputed?
Of course, it's disputed. That's very contentious, no?
No, madalas mo marinig yan. Kayo ang culinary capital.
Yeah, but okay,
talaga,
I have to
taas
say,
kilay ang ibang tao
yes,
dyan.
this is what I have to say. It's not a self-proclaimed title. The official title that the DOT uses now, Pampanga being the food capital of the Philippines, not the culinary capital, because other regions.
What's the difference?
Okay, well, food, I don't know, and then the culinary, maybe, I don't know. I don't know the difference really. But the thing is, I asked the food historian Felix Santamaria how it came about. Was it written about during the Spanish times? She said no, it's just very recent. Recent in the sense that 1990 plus, somewhere around that time, when the late Hilda Cordero Fernando wrote in her book the culinary traditions of the Philippines. I forgot the actual title, but the thing is, she wrote Pampanga. She titled it on the chapter "The Gourmet Province." Okay, so from there, even Phyllis mentioned, like when she wrote an article for this glossy magazine, she wrote like she went to pick that title. So from the Gourmet Province to the culinary whatever province and that. But what she mentioned, what Felice mentioned was we were the first province to promote our province as a culinary destination in the 1970s. And then like 5, 10 years later, Malolos came with the personality of Des Bautista. And then other provinces followed suit, no?
In calling themselves
No,
like
not
the
in
food.
calling themselves, in promoting their provinces as culinary
Okay.
destinations. Kasi ang advantage namin sa Pampanga, we're just like a 2 hours day trip from Manila. So
Yeah. So
people
it's
can
easy
come,
from
right?
money. So
Yeah,
ang laki ng market nyo.
malaki yung market. Plus the fact, okay, let's put it in a historical perspective. Do you have the time? It's kind of long. The historical perspective. Okay, okay. Pampanga is surrounded by the agricultural thing, no? So in the cycle of the wet and dry season, there's like the flooding of the Pampanga River. It's traversed by Pampanga. Pampanga sits at the navel of the whole central Luzon, including, that means on the north, it's like Tarlac, then Lucia, then Bulacan, and then Bataan on our southwest, and then Zambales. So during the Spanish times, actually, there was a period where the whole central plain of Luzon, including parts of Aurora, Quezon, was called La Pampanga. Would you believe that? And then it was just like, partition, more provinces were created to, I mean, basically for administrative purposes, right? So there are like Kapampangan speaking people of Tarlac, of Bataan, of Nueva Ecija. They're still to this day, they call themselves Kapampangan, but they live,
That's their
outside the
culture.
boundary.
Oo. So
Yeah,
Pampanga is not just a province, a political entity, but it's a
yeah.
culture.
It's not just a culture. We call ourselves a
It's a
nation.
language. Huh?
It's a language, and it's I mean, the thing that binds us would be the burro more than anything. Everybody craves for burro, the Carabao's milk, the when I say burro, it's the fermented rice with shrimp or fish, and then when I say that includes the burro, that includes burong babi. Burong babi is fermented cured pork, which is more maasim and salty rather than the present day tocino nowadays. So okay.
And you have access to a lot of different ingredients, no?
Exactly,
Oo. That's why, well, Kapampangan cuisine is known for having, you eat insects and, there's a lot of exotica
Okay, yeah.
associated with
I was
Pampanga
about
food.
I was about to mention that, in the cycle of the wet and dry season, the first sign of rain comes off the ground would be the camaro, the mole crickets, and then people just go out and fish the tugak, the frogs, and that's why we have the stuffed frogs. Of course, na-adobo din yun, pinapaksi, whatever. Tapos sa sabaw with patola. So, and then also the talangka, no? Everything's like wild gathered. They forage like outdoor. So there was plenty food as long as you go out. Basta masipag ka lang, lalabas ka sa ano. You don't need your, basically people maybe just bought rice. But they have in the backyard, this and that. All the vegetables for their daily needs. And also, every household during that time, until like in the 60s, 70s, when like I grew up having spent summers in my lola's house. They would have a backyard with the santol, lanzones, sampalok, trees, no? And they would have a pig pen and a chicken coop. So everybody had pig pens at that time, feeding them with the excess, yung mga scraps, vegetable scraps, at the same time food leftovers. So kaya masagana yung self-sufficiency ng mga bahay-bahay. And this all like in a way stopped when people moved to gated subdivisions. Okay, and then of course they planted ornamental whatever. So nawala yung mga backyard. Of course kami dito, kami tatlong magkakapit-bahay kami magkakapatid. Starting with my parents' house, we have all the trees I mentioned, the fruit-bearing trees and more. So especially I realized that when during the lockdown we could not go out and do marketing. We were just asking, meron kang kamyas, meron kang sampalok. My
Mhm.
my brother has a chicken cook. There. So I mean, it's basically yung Kapampangan, even during the Spanish times, was sending food to the Spanish government in Manila as their form of payment for the, the tribute, the taxes,
Mhm.
meaning in terms of pig, livestock, vegetables, and all that. And also, guagua, in the absence of the highways, of the road system,
Mhm. Mhm.
this was before, I mean, during the Spanish times, no?
Mhm.
They sent all the produce from Nueva Ecija, from Tarlac. I mean, Tarlac not so much yet. Nueva Ecija, that's the main agricultural by in Caritel. Oh, no, sorry. In barges along the rivers from Pantabangan, and then it connects to Pampanga River, and then the tributaries, and they will land in Guagua, which was the hub. What was it they call that? The entrepot, before all the distribution thing, and placed in other barges that goes out to Sasmuan, and then out to the Manila Bay, hugging the coastal towns of Malabon and Navotas, and then they will land in the esteros of Arranque and Divisoria, and that there were three markets, Quiapo, I think. So people thought at that time, food came from Pampanga. Even though it came from Bataan, it came from Nueva Ecija and all that. So I guess
It added to the reputation
exactly.
na
And plus
food source kayo.
food source. And
Yeah.
plus the fact we had 90 years of Clark Air Base.
Okay.
From 1900 to 1990, when they were like, di ba, kinik out ng ano natin, ng Congress natin, tinapos
With
na
all the PX goods and the
exactly.
and the
So
Pringles.
yeah, we had the first crack of growing up. I'm sure you experienced this in the
Oo.
1970s during martial
Oo,
law.
may
There was
special
no
trip to
yes
Clark just to
to
buy imported food,
yes
packaged food.
yes Angeles and Dao. We were there like
Yes, Oo.
and imagine mo yung not only the PX, no, at the height of the Vietnam War, so late 1960s, Clark Air Base was employing like 30,000 Filipinos on base. Imagine mo yung 30,000 na yun. They live off base in Angeles, Mabalacat, maybe Porac, or even Tarlac, and they would have their respective families. And that's why during that time, Angeles was already like the university town of, no. Imagine
Melting
mo,
pot na rin, no? Kasi
yeah,
these people, Filipinos were from all over the place.
exactly. So can you imagine that's the disposable income? I mean,
Mhm.
of this 30,000 Filipinos. Kaya
Mhm.
pala kain sa labas. Ang
Mhm. Eh, yung mga servicemen din, dollars pa yung dala.
okay, yung servicemen na yon, there were like 8,000 at the time that they were expelled, or the whatever US Philippine
Oh, eh
parity.
pag may bumisita pa na aircraft
1990
carrier,
exactly.
multiply pa yon.
Yung C5 Galaxy na yun, yung airstrip ng Clark was like meant for this the C5 Galaxy, that carried tanks and all that, the armory. So but the thing, my point is 8,000 houses outside Clark, meaning in Angeles, were rented out to the American servicemen. Again, imagine mo yung the economic activity that went around. So andun na kasama na yung the sprouting, the mushrooming of the restaurants, the bars, the nightclubs, plus the manufacturing industry, meaning the furniture and handicrafts. So there was plenty money going around at that time. I guess that really, you can say, concretized the reputation of Angeles or Pampanga in general, becoming the culinary center.
And just one of many businesses, no?
Yeah.
Okay, Claude, we need to let you go.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, thank you for that detailed overview. That's a good way to end, no? Kasi you're a proud Pampanga native. Both of us now need to prepare for lunch. I've gotten so hungry talking to you. Saan ako maghahanap ng buro ngayon dito sa
Nako.
Quezon City,
Oh.
Anyway,
to Trellis.
thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and enthusiasm. I need to visit you there,
Pleasure. It's a
where
pleasure.
you live.
Ikaw, yeah.
Claude, no? Yeah. And in the meantime, may you have a joyful holiday
You
season
too.
with lots of happy guests,
Yes.
no? Thank you for sharing your knowledge and enthusiasm. Claude Tayag, culinary artist and advocate of Filipino food. Mabuhay ka. Hi, I'm Howie Severino. Check out the Howie Severino Podcast, an original for GMA News and Public Affairs. New episodes will stream every Thursday. Listen for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other platforms.